Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to provide commentary for our weekly static raid full clear. I'm going to explain the strategies we use on each boss, which compositions we decided to run and why, and maybe point out some things you might not have known before. I hope this is informative and interesting. In the video description I've linked the timestamps to every boss, so if you're interested in a particular encounter and how we solved it, then you can just check out the video description. Before we get started, I want to say that we see ourselves as a mostly casual raid static. We are not grinding for the highest possible DPS numbers or the fastest possible clears. However, our ambition is to always play strategies that we find interesting to play. So every week we try to make some improvements. When we see a speedrunning guild do something fancy on a certain boss or in a certain boss transition, we will try to copy it and implement it in our own clear at our own DPS level and level of play. This keeps us on our toes and makes sure we get to improve just a little bit every other week. More than anything, I'm afraid of doing the same raids for years without getting better at doing them. But with our mindset of continuous progression and improvement, we can make sure the game stays fresh and demanding for everyone in the squad. Some of our members play every day, others log in once a week, and it sort of works out for everybody. Even though it obviously means we're not going to compete with the top guilds. But that's not the aim to begin with. Alright, let's get started, and we start on Gate. We do Gate first because it's a good event to get the squad together in case someone arrives late. After that we are going to progress to Wing 4. So what you saw me do there before in the corner was I tried to bait the champion Djinns away from the capture circles. Because what happens is that as soon as you capture the second capture circle, the first Djinn will disappear, and once you capture the third capture circle, the second Djinn will disappear. Now, the goal would have been to keep this third Djinn out, so we can capture the fourth circle without any issues, but unfortunately I aggroed him by accident with my rifle auto attacks, and now he just came and prevented the capture. So this slows us down a bit, and it's obviously a frustrating time loss. But again, we're not like grinding for every single second, so it's okay. Alright. Gate is rather boring, there's nothing inspired about the composition. I'm on a heal chronomancer, so I can easily tank the ads that you saw in the corner, because they do quite a lot of damage if you're on your own. But other than that, really there's nothing special. You see us place one portal, and one of our players is going to bait the Djinn on the other side together, so then we can just take a portal over there to quickly clean them up. I've sped this up to like 1.5 speed because it's really not interesting. After that we're going to watch the clear in normal speed. After Gate, we decide to go to Wing 4, and the reason for that is twofold. On the one hand, we want to start with Wing 4 because it's Deimos, especially the boss where you have to be focused, and we try to do that at the beginning of the evening. And the second thing is that after doing Gate, there's a long dialogue scene where Glenna will talk, then the key Adashim will talk. So by exiting Wing 7 immediately after doing the Gate, we are going to skip this dialogue once we re-enter Wing 7. So it's basically a 2-in-1 benefit. Alright, so let's talk about Wing 4. We're doing challenge modes in Wing 4. And you're going to see me play Condition Virtuoso. You'll see me play it very poorly in this instance, but, well, this just happens sometimes. And for our composition, we have 4 Condi Virtuosos. Condi Virtuoso is not the best class in this raid wing. Obviously not. Especially on Samarog, Virtuoso is not that good. However, Virtuoso has a lot of CC and is a very safe class. Also for Deimos, it's quite decent. And for Cairn, it's very good, and on Mursaat Overseer, it's good enough at least. So it's just a sort of compromise. It's rather simple to play for people. And yeah, you're going to see a lot of Condition Virtuosos in this raid full clear. Again, it's not the ideal class. It's not the ideal class on almost any boss. But it's just what people decide they want to play. We have 2 Condition Willbenders here. We have some high DPS slots in the squad composition where for certain raid wings their role is just to do any DPS. Nothing special is planned for them. So yeah, they chose Willbender this week and they might choose something else next week. Depending what the balance patches bring, they can change however often they want. As long as they're not trolling, I'm fine with that. Now subgroup 2 is seeing a Condi Firebrand, Quickness Firebrand with a Heal Druid for the boons. Although I'm not getting Quickness right now for some reason. And in the other subgroup, we have a Herald with an Alacrity Spectre. And the idea behind the Spectre is to just have a door opener after Mursaat Overseer. So we have a guaranteed thief in the squad. And if the Spectre provides some barrier or some group healing, it's also appreciated on some of the bosses. And then the Quickness Herald is there because we are solo healing. This means that there's no protection, swiftness, fury, might from a healer in that subgroup, and no regeneration. And now the Herald will provide these boons to the group. Herald is a very good class for solo heal compositions. He always goes in the group that isn't with the druid and provides these defensive boons. You will see that we play a Herald on essentially every single boss for exactly that reason, and you will see it's always in the group that is not with the druid. Yeah, but Cairn, I guess the most important thing on Cairn is to spam your special action key every 10 seconds, so you don't get yeeted. You see me get ported like 3 times. Yeah, alright. But it's not a very spectacular boss. It's a good boss to start even with, and you can even 9-man it if someone is late. Now you see me swap to a Mirage template. Now the best thing about Mirage is its mobility. You can ambush sword to leap. So we have a portal here. And now it's my turn to jump ahead, if I can do it. And what you're going to find out when you raid a lot is that the time between the bosses is actually much more relevant than how fast you kill the boss in practice. Obviously, if you want a world record, you need fast boss kills and fast transitions. But like, you wouldn't believe that like half of the time during an evening, or almost half of the time, is just doing boss transitions, waiting in ready checks, and more things like that. So by using these portals, you can significantly speed up the transitions. Now, the disadvantage is obviously that when we start this fight, I'm going to have some utility skills on cooldown. And that's just the way it is. We're not going to wait for my cooldowns. We'll just start as soon as everyone is here. And my DPS will be a bit worse. So yeah, that's just what you have to do. It's not worth waiting for cooldowns. We're never getting that time back otherwise. Now, MO on CM has the blue circles. Not the blue circles, the blue AoEs, where you have to stand inside of them. And one thing you can observe is that the boss timer in the top right corner, once it hits 34, the blue field will appear. And at 29, you need to stand inside it. And so now I stand inside my blue field, everyone else has other blue fields, and one Willbender didn't stand in theirs. So they died instantly. Just happens sometimes. And it gets dangerous when the spikes align with the blue fields, but we are quite lucky this time, and we didn't get this problem. You see me, I fire some of my skills onto the statues. Like, it's not strictly necessary to do that, we could just do a clever protect. However, as I said, like, my DPS is secondary in this encounter because I have utility skills on cooldown from the start, and I really prefer a cleaner MO run over like my maximum DPS numbers. So I'm just occupied with killing the statues to prevent them from reaching the other side. Now in this particular run, I let 2 of them come through. Sometimes I will make sure that none can get through, or at most 1. But 2 are fine as well. And with 2 coming through, I can just use my protect once they're here. And other than that, there's really nothing going on. I stand at the edge of the platform, so the Jade Scout doesn't get to actually capture the circle or capture the field. And yeah, we kill the boss very easily. Alright. Now, for the next 2 bosses, I actually die midway through. And also my POV is not very interesting for them. So I'm actually going to show you the POV of the Quickness Herald instead. Now the quality is not that great. It was downscaled when I made this video, so I can't really change that. I hope you can still like roughly see the movement. And What's important about Samarog CM is that you bring enough stability to be able to face tank some of the shockwaves and some of the other mechanics like the swipes in front of him. Because especially the people who get the friendship mechanic, they can't dodge this swipe attack. So they just need stability. So actually what we're going to do is in our composition we have these 4 Virtuosos and we have a Quickness Firebrand and a Herald. They all have stability abilities and they also bring a lot of crowd control, and then basically nothing can happen. And now, no matter how bad the tanking goes, most of our DPS classes, like the Virtuosos, they are ranged, so they can just shoot from wherever they're standing. And this makes the boss very safe. Like Samarog CM is usually considered one of the harder CMs for pugs to do, at least. But for us, it's really a safe boss because we are playing such a safe composition. It makes the boss take a lot longer than would be possible if you all played power classes. But this is another thing. Like when we want to play Virtuosos, we can't really relog after Mursaat Overseer. You're going to see us play a lot with some suboptimal classes just because we can't afford the time to relog between bosses. Because this relog would take time and would delay the start of the next boss, and yeah. Now you saw one Virtuoso, that was me, walk into the death zone and just die. I don't know why I did that. So yeah, I'm showing you from the perspective of the Herald so you can actually see something. Yeah. One thing that's important about Samarog is that the fixation of the spear mechanic, basically the friendship mechanic, this is random and, well, they can't move anymore. So the best position to place the spear is not actually in the center of the boss hitbox. That would be bad because it means you have to move the boss more. So by standing a bit outside the boss, you can actually make sure that the boss is never fully covered by a spawning spear, but instead like only the edge of the boss is covered. So you reduce the movement you have to do. Like imagine you stood on the tank, then the tank would have to move a lot more. And boss movement is always bad for DPS uptime. So it's always a good idea to like stand at maximum melee range to make sure to not move the boss more than is needed. What is maybe a good trick for a Herald to consider in this fight is that when you use your staff 5 to CC, that you take a step back before you charge your staff 5 into Samarog, because the staff 5 actually does a larger amount of breakbar damage if you end up inside the hitbox of the target. Because the staff 5 does 9 hits in total, but it does those 9 hits along a dash, and towards the end of the dash it somehow does more of its hits. So if you want to fully hit Samarog with most of the CC damage, you always take a step back and then use staff 5. This is just a small trick if you're ever playing Herald on this fight. Also on Slothasor, it's the same thing. You can just hit more often if you do it with range. Another thing maybe to note, if you don't know that, is that aggro on this fight is range-based. So the furthest player, when the aggro switches, will always get aggro. So you will see that we try to bait the aggro on the quickness players usually, just so the DPS can actually fully focus on doing damage. It doesn't always work because the boss sometimes is weird in how he distributes the aggro. But yeah, alright. The Herald got the aggro by standing the furthest. And we again pull him through the middle. Maybe that's one thing that is different from Pug strategies is Pugs like to tank on the side a lot and they like to move a lot. And the reason we don't do it is just like it's half a minute you spend walking on the side of the arena at the very start, and we think that this half minute is not worth waiting for. So yeah, we just tank him in the middle. And there's actually a set pattern of the spears that spawn. You see there's like a grid of spears that spawned, and then there's a friendship. So as long as you don't tank on top of the spears, you're actually completely fine tanking wherever. And now even when it gets a bit dicey here, the Conti Virtuosos have 100% DPS uptime during all of that. So yeah, that's really a good reason to play Virtuoso. Again, it's not the best DPS option, but well, it just works, and that's great about it. And at 10%, we use /GG to skip the breakbar. It's not worth doing that breakbar anymore, because breaking it would mean that we need to bring more CC to the fight, and it's just faster to simply GG for the player. Even if it's then 9-man, or in this case 8-man for the last 10%, that's going to be faster than breaking this bar actually. Alright, for Deimos, now it gets a bit tricky. Our comp is not ideal for it because we are lacking a little bit of Aegis. In the challenge mode, you need to block all the mind crushes. What we're going to do here is we are swapping the Firebrand with the Herald in the subgroups. So the Druid is going to block for one group and the Firebrand is going to block for the other group. This is not ideal boon-wise. We could have just let the Willbender bring advance as well. I think one of them brings it actually, but yeah, so blockwise this works now, but the boons in group 3 will not be that good now. This is something that we have to fix for next week. Maybe think about the subgroups a little bit more here. But well, it's going to work anyway. It's just not the ideal situation, especially when it comes to something like protection and might uptime. Although quickness Firebrand's might was actually buffed. One thing you see a lot happen in parks is that they only send like 3 people down at the start in the challenge mode, and it takes forever. And we just send everyone. Now one bride got in at the start, so the prisoner got some damage at the start, but ultimately the health of the prisoner doesn't matter as long as he survives. If nothing goes wrong, we have more than enough time to like not care about the health of the prisoner. But you see, this fight will go very, very wrong. So yeah, it's going to get spicy, but we will prevail, I hope. Now, the Druid is our tank for all the encounters where there is a tank, except for one of the encounters actually. We have the Druid on the tank, and he's also staying up and will make sure that he always has Aegis to give himself and his group a block if needed against the Mind Crush. And this ad here, well, it needs to be broken. Other than that, just burst it down. Nothing much to say. And now after we get up, we immediately move on top of the boss. This makes the ad also move to us, to the stack, so it gets cleaved instantly. And this is a very important movement, just for everyone to do this movement correctly. Because if this ad stands anywhere except on the stack and starts stealing boons from people, it's going to get very dangerous, especially in challenge mode, where there's more damage pressure on the group. Damage pressure is created by Mind Crush. Even if you block it, you get a debuff that then ticks your health down for the next 10 seconds. And so it's very important, like, to have the ads under control so they don't do excess damage to the squad or rip all their boons, etc. Yeah. Alright, this is the second ad already. Now, if you're prudent about it, you would let the ad split down here so it doesn't split in the other world here. Well, we messed that up kind of. So he splits up here. This can be dangerous during the Mind Crush, because if this ad is up during the Mind Crush, she will probably remove Aegis from us because there's so many hits of it. But luckily we got the split rather early up here and now killed him before Mind Crush and now have Aegis and everything. So this is totally fine. Alright, so far it's going very good. You actually see me as the Handkiter on the other side. Here we would not have been that interesting. But yeah, you see with the group. One thing that is a bit poorly done here is that the oils are placed directly under Deimos. This is like on Samarog. It would be better to like put the oils to the side of Deimos to reduce the movement that one has to do. And then a black gets triggered, which is really bad. And now the Mind Crush comes and just everyone survives. But me as the Hankite, I'm going to mess this up now real fast and actually die as the Hankite. Now, part of the good thing of doing this for years is that these situations that look really bad are completely recoverable. Now, one of our DPS players said, hey, I can Hankite, no problem. And is actually just going to do so. And we now have a DPS Hankite. And we get a Man Crush. We still have Aegis. And we all survive it. Now we have to counter heal this. This is very spicy. Soul is rather low as well. Though at 10% it stops mattering. And yeah, it's completely fine. Actually, you see our Quickness Firebrand got the green at 25%. And we decided to sacrifice him. So we're not dealing with the final Soul. The Soul is still in the underworld. And we're going to ignore him all the way in the last phase. This is just a little bit faster than bringing him up here. It's also less risky because you still have the whole squad up here taking care of the prides and greeds and doing DPS to the boss. And in this last phase, we have the Conjured Virtuoso still Hankite, so the druid can be on stack in the front to heal. In this phase, Soul helps with a signet and the banner. So the banner will be thrown to the Hankiter, which provides him with a bit of extra sustain. But he's also like a Conjured Virtuoso, like he has sustain anyway. And the rest of the group can just focus on doing DPS to the boss. And hopefully we complete this. So yeah, this is just with 6 people alive. Not the best kill we've ever had, but we've also had worse kills. We've also had wipes. Yeah. So part of a weekly kill, I think, is not aiming for perfection on every single boss, but if you can kill it, then you just take the kill and move on. I think that's also an important skill to learn, is to learn how to recover from bad situations. All right, now I've done a cut and I'm back on my own character. And we are talking about Soulless Horror. For Soulless Horror, I'm going to play a Condition Chrono tank. What I like about Condi Chrono is that I can run a lot of toughness without losing any damage. And the other tank is a Alacrity Scourge. Both of us, we are DPS players or DPS supports. So we are not healers. And we have our Druid solo heal as a pusher. This adds a lot of pressure to the tanks to sidestep all the attacks from the boss. But we can do that, so it's not an issue. And yeah, everyone else can focus on doing as much DPS as possible. If you have high DPS on this fight, the fight gets a lot easier. And yeah, for that reason, we run the comp like this. Moa is a very good skill on Condi Chrono. Yeah. So when there's a red very close to the group standing there, I try to move the boss a little bit away. And I try to couple it with a movement we have to do anyway. Because the Condiville bender we have in the squad really appreciates being able to dash around the boss with his F2 especially. And so it's not good to tank right next to a red field. If we were just Condi Virtuosos, I would have stayed next to the field. Like this, we should move. Alright. And then I'm going to take over the tanking as soon as my stacks run out. So now I could take over again, and I will. And yeah, Soulless Horror dies really fast in challenge mode, as fast as in normal mode, because the boss has exactly the same health. One thing you can spot about the tanking is we don't actually have to move that much. That's because these tanking spots are very deliberate. No matter which wall will spawn now, it's random, but no matter which one spawns, you at most have to move once. And like one wall wide, basically. And it's already done, okay. So the way we tanked, like we had one movement and that's it. And that's very common in our weekly clears that we move once, maybe twice or 3 times if you're particularly unlucky. So the reason some groups have to move more often is that they fail pushing, they have to move due to reds, or that they move too much when they didn't have to move to begin with. So yeah. Alright, for the River of Souls, we do a slightly unusual strategy. We actually do it very poorly this week because I'm completely off my game at this point and I forget to do some stuff. What we are going to do is we are killing this elevator. And then we actually go back to the spawn of the first bomber. And the goal is to kill the bomber before he gets a break bar. If you do that, this means this mina will not stop and just keep running. But we were actually late here, so she stopped anyway. So we failed. And I hope we get it for the next one, but maybe we don't. So yeah, we are going to camp here again. And we'll just wait for the bomber to spawn and try to kill him instantly. There are more bombers you could try to kill, but you need a dedicated power comp to do that, because if 2 bombers spawn at once, it's very difficult to burst them both. So we're actually only killing the single bomber spawns. You could speed up this river again. And yeah. Here we get a bomber and we kill that one. And this one is killed as well. So the group behind really gets to full super speed through the whole thing without ever stopping. Yeah, it's a night and day difference. If you actually run power classes on the river, I highly recommend doing so. Now, well, we had one backup in this comp, and not everyone is comfortable on specific power classes anyway. So yeah, this is a double bomber spawn that we are not able to kill, so we just didn't. But here we go for single bombers again. I think we get to kill one. Yes, we got. The other one is too fast for us. He gets a CC bar, so we ignore him. And this elevator needs to be killed. Now I made a mistake. I should have brought Portal and Mimic and Blink for the next part. So someone else had it, so they could back me up. This is the first time for them to do it. So I direct them with a marker. What we're doing after the river is we're directly going to the Eyes of Darkness, because you can do a portal to that position. And you're going to see our strategy there is quite risky. It's a one-shot strategy where you go, everyone goes on one side and then does the eye there, completely kills it, and then goes to the other side and finishes there. And it goes very wrong. Because, well, we accidentally daze the eye. And this portal I place here is just a backup portal in case something goes wrong. Now the eye is not stunned, and now we get it. Oh, we killed it actually, that's nice. Oh, this got dazed, yes. So this eye we tried to one-shot, but, well, it ported. We were lucky that it ported over here. And we can still finish it off. Now we have to finish it before the other eye respawns. If this didn't happen, we would take my portal back up and go finish the eye on the other side. But it worked. Now comes something special that not many people are doing, but it's very fast if you pull it off. And actually we do these 2 boss encounters at the same time. We split the squad in 5 and 5. So 5 people are doing the Broken King, and 5 people are going to do the Eater of Souls. I think it's called Eater of Souls. And, well, we try to be as fast as possible with that. And I can only speak to our composition. It's what we're going to see here. We have a Druid tanking, and I'm on heal quickness chrono, just providing the maximum amount of quickness. But everyone else is on their comfortable DPS classes and providing DPS. Now, because we're just 5 people, we need to pump damage, otherwise we would die to the enrage. It's actually instant one-shot if you enrage. And yeah, we failed to collect, which is not good. And have to slightly recover here. But yeah, we're going to be fine. Like, this can sometimes happen. Can look a bit scuffed. Now I'm frozen. I've picked up 3 orbs already and picked up a 4th one. I'm frozen for 10 seconds. In that time I can't move. I can't use most of my abilities, but it doesn't really matter. What would be good is if I bring Blink when I'm frozen. That's why some of us are on Mesmers actually. Bring Blink, I just forgot about it. And with Blink, you can actually still move during the frozen state, and you can capture another circle while frozen, which is good. But yeah, I forgot to bring it. I have some issues with my templates. I have 8 templates on my Mesmer. It's not enough for this clear. So sometimes I forget to do some manual changes. And yeah, I get frozen again here. That's one thing you need to get used to. It's just pick up circles even when frozen. The only player who will not try to freeze himself is our tank, so we always have at least one healer being able to actually heal us. But I'm going to freeze myself aggressively if need be. And one thing that's important about the Broken King is actually to, if you tank it, to not stand in melee range, because, well, he will do a lot of damage to melee. So our tank is actually standing a bit further away with maximum amount of toughness to make sure to not get hit by all the melee shard attacks. And the reason we're using Druid as tank instead of letting me tank as Chrono is that the Druid can give his alacrity at range, whereas me as heal Chrono, I would not be able to give any boons while standing at range. And also my healing is not that great at range, or not as great as a Druid. Alright, now you see more people arrived. The other people have 5-man finished the Eater of Souls on the other side, and then they use their Jackal and other mounts to get over here, so they can actually just help us complete this event. Like, this is fully intentional. They're going to be a bit faster than us if everything goes well for them. And, well, stuff went wrong on our side, so they can help us complete the event. We even had a death, so yeah. Alright, but this is Broken King and Eater of Soul at once. Now I'm going to relog for Dhuum. For Dhuum, I'm going to go to Quickness Herald. You see me actually play Condi Quickness Herald, a build that I don't really know how to play, but I still pretend I do. And now for Dhuum CM, the interesting thing is really to play this with just one healer. And this is maybe part of what our static is also about. It's about challenging ourselves. It's about figuring out how far we can push the envelope on what we can do. Now, most groups will play double healer on Dhuum CM, and you see that even in some speedrunning competitions in the past, in tournaments, you saw, when it came to Dhuum CM, you saw double heal compositions. Because the problem is, as soon as anything goes wrong with the one healer you have, like an unlucky pick or bad luck or bad mechanic or something, the whole thing just falls apart. And so often it's not worth the risk. And certainly for our clear times, it's not worth the risk. Dhuum CM is something we actually wipe to very often. And we have at least 1 or 2 wipes just because we're not playing with a safer composition. So there's a lot of pressure on our Druid to do it right. But I think like this is part of what makes our group also interesting to play with. Composition-wise, we play 2 Quickness Heralds. I've explained already that the Quickness Herald in the off group is important for the defensive boons. They will make sure to always have their Glint Elite and the Swiftness facet running in the prevent, so everyone has Swiftness and protection at least. And my group has a healer that's a bit easier boon-wise, but I'm also trying to give all the important boons. Then we have an Alacrity Scourge as the tank, and we have the Heal Druid as the kiter. Now there are compositions that prefer to let the healer tank and have a DPS as the kiter. However, the problem is that the kiter is away for like 50 seconds at the very least. At the start, like at the start of the fight, you're just away for 50 seconds. And doing that to a DPS is much, much worse than doing that to a healer. So like it's a DPS gain to have the boon DPS on the boss and the healer as kiter instead of the other way around. However, it means for the tank that he can't take unnecessary damage, because in CM the boss hurts actually. He's running enough Ritualist gear and Trailblazer gear to not feel it that much on his Scourge. Yeah. Other than that, what can I say here about the prevent? We're detonating the bomb as fast as we can. This just gives us more time to set up afterwards. The prevent bombs are in no way connected to the main event, so you can just detonate them freely. A lot of groups, especially inexperienced groups, will hold on to the bombs, but you really don't have to do that. Alright. We place a Flesh Rum on Star. This Flesh Rum will bait some of the spider aggro. Now, if you think back to the orb collection at the very start, when I was doing the green 2 at the very start on Circle, you saw me actually avoid the mid-sized orb. And this mid-sized orb would spawn a messenger and I let it through. And this is very deliberate. You don't want to collect the messenger orbs in the pre-event. Because if you don't collect them, you get a more fortunate messenger spawn during the first soul split. So the two things are connected. And by really making sure that green 2 and green 3 afterwards don't collect these orbs, we get a favorable spawn later in the soul split. But that's why I avoid grabbing the mid-sized orb. Yeah. And make sure that you don't get picked by the echo is the most important thing. I dodge out last second here. And someone gets picked. But I think we can break that before he dies. Yeah. It was a close call. That would have been our healer and one of the DPS. So that would have been a wipe. So what happens now is that our tank, who was doing the green, failed the green actually. He managed to pick up the big orb, but failed otherwise. So now we have a random tank. I think it's one of the Condi Virtuosos with 45 toughness from the All-Stats food. And it's going to be interesting to see them adapt to this. As you've seen on Deimos, one of the strengths of our group is to not have to GG in such a situation. We all know how to play the fight. We know the different roles. We have very skilled players who can just say, okay, I'm going to tank now. And we can salvage these kinds of attempts where one of our players dies. And I think that's a really cool skill to be able to develop, to just keep going, no matter what it looks like. I know many players prefer cleaner kills so they can grind their logs for Gilroy's 2 Wingman websites, but this is not what we're doing in this Monday clear. We're just killing bosses. And wiping here obviously is a time loss, so we don't wipe. One thing that's difficult about this is deciding when a fight is actually lost. Like imagine that the druid gets picked now and dies. Could we still finish it? And I would say we try it. Like I would actually go for it. But sometimes this wipes us then 2 minutes down the line. So it's really hard to judge if something is salvageable or not. Make sure that you don't get picked in that soul split. This is a very easy pick to miss because the echo comes suddenly from the right side. So just make sure that you step far enough back to the wall. What Dhuum did here is actually swap tanks during the soul split. We were confused that now he's following another Virtuoso. Those two Virtuosos are tied for toughness, both at 45 toughness. And after the soul split, he just decided, okay, I'm going to follow the other tank now. The other one is now the tank. So yeah, this was a little bit of confusion until we found out, but then the other person was able to take over. And the Druid Kite did the green, so during this time we don't have a healer. And we're moving over to Star to tank for the final 10%. Yeah, other than that, there's really nothing going on here anymore. I get Boon Strip like an idiot. Always walk out sideways out of this cone and not not like I did here. Yeah, other than that, we phase to 10%. And at 10%, you should try to get picked by the Echo, so you can skip the event afterwards. So you get ported instantly to the middle. Now we didn't pre-assign any markers, because not only don't we know which players actually arrive at 10%, but also like it doesn't matter who goes where. So everyone just stands towards one direction. We make sure everyone has quickness, and then we go. Quickness makes you channel faster. Protection makes you take less damage here. So we just make sure we have all those boons. And yeah. Now 2 people are going to get picked soon, because the Echo broke and they didn't take enough precautions and they just got picked now. Now we need to back up their markers again. Again, it wouldn't help to be prepared for specific markers. So we just see, oh, circle is needed. And one person actually got 2 markers now. They did heart and circle because they saw it. So yeah, that was Dhuum with a tank dying 1 minute into the fight. And we can just continue to the next boss. After Dhuum, we always go into Wing 6. So what you're going to see next is our take on Conjured Amalgamate. Now, Conjured Amalgamate is a fight that is entirely dictated by how well you use the swords. So you kill the sword ads and then you collect swords and throw them at his arms and at the boss to do bonus damage. And one thing that's very important about it is to always use the swords when you're meant to use them, and no, not at another time. And what we are going to see is a so-called hand swapping strategy, where we will provoke the boss in a way that he gives us more swords than you would normally like to do, and this allows us to clear the hands faster than you could see in other groups, and do the boss phase faster than in other groups. It's not the perfect speedrunning strategy, it's more like a basic introduction to speedrunning this boss. You can't really do it with bad DPS. I would recommend at least having power classes, having some amount of burst if you're attempting to do it. The way it works is that the hand will always smash down where the majority of your group is. So we are going to bait first the left arm to smash down. We damage it, but we hold back some of our skills, collect all the swords, and then throw them at swap the side and throw them at the right arm and try to burst the right arm from 100 to 0 just by using 7 swords on it. Now in this fight it's going to go very wrong. For some reason we only land 3 of the 7 swords. One of us actually missed them, I think. I'm not sure if it's me or if it's the other sword collector. So yeah, you're not going to see a successful hand swap. It's not supposed to be like that. But the rest of the fight is still clean enough. These kind of failed bosses, you also saw it on Deimos with the black trigger. This just happens when you record a full clear. Well, I'm not going to cut the recording because I think you can still learn something from it. So I'm Quickness Herald. My job is to provide quickness. I'm not doing the best possible burst opening. I'm mainly focused now on collecting these swords and throwing them. For some reason, not all of the swords arrived, or not everyone used their swords. So we only have 3 swords on the arm and didn't actually manage to one-shot it. We were supposed to already be collecting, but it failed. Oh well. Now we go collect. And the way this collection works is that one of our quickness player is collecting some of the swords at the start, and then I'm taking over. and collecting some more. And then the other herald will complete the collection. But they will not throw their swords anymore. We try to phase the boss to 50%. And now finish up the arm that we damaged at the beginning. We had 6 swords now still from the collection on the boss phase, so you can instantly cleave the arm and ignore this shield phase. And now what happens next is that one of our collectors will collect 3 swords and then throw them at the boss. This failed because of the CM mechanic interrupting their collection. So I'm just backing up now. This is again not exactly the intended way to do it. We wanted this to be cleaner, but you can't have everything. All right. Now you actually have to clear these shields manually because the laser didn't have time to clear them. This one shield backed out, so yeah. Now I still have like 6 swords and I'm going to throw them at the arm and we one-shot this arm again. And there's another collection phase. Ideally, we would be able to cleave this arm here, but it's spawned on the outside, so it's not actually in range. So we just finished the boss. Well, that's it. The very fast Conjured Amalgamate. It's really getting carried by sword throwing. Throwing the swords never into empty space, like never use swords when you don't need to. You only use the swords that you have on bosses and on arms in a very deliberate way. And every soul beast knows when to burst because we're calling out when it happens. So yeah, that's like Conjured Amalgamate. And as I said, this strategy cannot be done with the lowest amount of DPS. I wouldn't be comfortable doing it in a raid training. But even in a raid training, you can still like learn good sword management. So you have to do way less clap phases and shield phases, etc. So yeah. I think proper throwing of the swords adds like 50,000 or 100,000 damage, like just per sword you throw. Because each sword is a 50% damage buff for everyone, and your squad is doing hundreds of thousands of DPS, obviously. And then just buffing that by 50% is instantly worth a lot of DPS over 10 seconds. Like 10 seconds, the arm is attackable. So yeah, proper sword throwing them early when the arm drops, that's more DPS than rotation practice does. You would be surprised how much you can do with just proper sword throwing. Alright, I completely skipped over this minigame because it's not that interesting. Let's go to Twin Largos. Twin Largos are the only bosses we fight with 2 healers. We have a healer on the right side and one on the left side. Now you see me play Heal Chronomancer. And on Heal Chronomancer, I'm really new to Rifle. I'm still not 100% certain how exactly I'm supposed to use my Rifle's abilities. So you're not going to see the best gameplay. But it's something that works, and that's the main purpose of this build. It's also very comfortable, like to provide all the boons needed with the Rifle. Just Rifle 4 giving quickness is really good. And then a bit of shatters and everyone has boons. Composition-wise, we have a heal chrono and a quickness chrono. The reason for that is that we don't want to relog after Twin Largos. Because we want to do the pre-event relatively quickly. You can actually speed up the talking here by shooting scale fireballs at Twin Largos. Now this skips their entire dialogue, and now we just have to wait for Qadim to finish talking, and we can start on the platform. It's just a nice 10-second skip at least. And so yeah. What I like to do on Twin Largos is I bring as much Condic lens and resistance and stability as possible, so nobody in my group needs to dodge anything. Like they're still welcome to dodge stuff and they shouldn't get bubbled. But other than that, I try to like take as much pressure away from them. That's one of the main motivations for me to play healer, is to actually be able to hard carry their their mechanics. So yeah, I'm trying to like provide the stability whenever there's a knockback, etc. I'm not perfect at doing it, but everything helps, of course. What's interesting in challenge mode actually is the phases are so short that this is a boss where power isn't that bad. Like the power soul beasts, for example, they do a lot of damage. And this can actually be quite surprising because people remember this as being this Condi fight, but it was really always a Mirage fight because of the confusion. And now that confusion is nerfed, well, just play a power class if you want to. Because every 20% in challenge mode, you have to leave the platform. And yeah, by just being able to burst, you gain a lot of DPS, obviously. Can still play stuff like Conjured Amalgamate, so it's still very good. Yeah. You see me kite Canute, and I do that by standing the furthest away, and it provides stability for the shockwaves. It's still good if people don't get hit by the shockwave because it gives the bot protection if they hit someone. But yeah, we can also wound strip the protection. Also works. Alright, then we split up. Group 2 goes left, Group 3 goes right. And what we try to do is do it the same way every single week. So we have people sorted in predetermined subgroups. And this just lets everyone get used to a certain composition. And causes minimum amount of confusion. And for that reason, we have a spreadsheet where we wrote down all the subgroups where it's important. So we don't improvise every week. Yeah, other than that, this is a very standard Twin Largos skill. Maybe one more thing to note is that might is not that easy to maintain in this composition on the left side now. Personally, I'm dropping might sometimes. Slightly below 25 might. But that's also because I'm not exactly standing inside my wells every single time I cast them. I hope that for the DPS players, they actually self-generate some amount of might. I hope they are fine. Like, the Soul Beast will get extra boon extension anyway, and everyone else has a little bit of extra might from the Great Sword 2 ability, for example, or Sword 5 ability. Yeah, don't take the big updraft here, or you will get thrown to the other side. Just take the small one. It's challenge mode. Don't get bubbled, and then we're basically done with the fight already. For some reason, Twin Largos scares people, and I don't quite get it. If you do this split strategy, it's really safe. Play enough toughness on the tank, and then there's actually not that much damage going around, especially if you can block mechanics for your allies. There's not much that can go wrong, actually. Just need a certain amount of DPS to make the checks, and then it's fine. And they got boon stripped, and now they're feeding. But yeah, it's at 1%, no problem. Alright, Qadim has a lot of mechanics, obviously. Our composition is to swap to Thieves, or just for faster lamps. We have a Spellbreaker to strip stability when we need to CC. We have Chronomancers for portals. I'm going Alacrity Chronomancer now. I had a wrong template here. With a well that gives Aegis to block the balls. That's very important in challenge mode. The other Chronomancer will bring Focus Ball to pull in ads when needed. We have a Soul Beast as a kiter. The Druid is healing. And we have a Herald, as always, in the non-Druid subgroup, providing the boons. That wouldn't be there without a healer. Alright, and what's going on here in the pre-event, we're speeding it up slightly. You can do it faster. What we're doing is providing some damage on the first pyre, just to make sure that So Moros finishes off the pyre a bit faster. And then we take a portal up here to this Vale Guardian. Finish that one off. Then take a portal over there. Finish that one off. So we don't have to walk as much and this prevent goes a bit faster. As I've said before, Mursaat Overseer, a lot of doing the raids fast is doing the transitions fast and making sure that the transitions work out is always a job for a Mesmer. That's why Boon Mesmer is such a good class. Having some Mesmers with you is such a good idea in a full clear. Just all the portals. We also have a designated player who turns on all the CMs, by the way. So, because it's always their job, it almost never gets lost in the heat of the moment. Yeah. You're going to see me tank the fight on a quickness chrono. You will see I don't actually need any defensive skills for that. You can just sidestep all the attacks from the Hydra. And yeah, this fight is going to get scuffed again. We will make mistakes, but you also see us recover because that's what we're good at. And yeah. Okay, I use Sword 4 for the first one, Distortion for this one. Then I give Aegis. And now I just sidestep the next attack. And I sidestep this one as well. Then I CC. I actually was late, but yeah. Get hit once. And now I feed like an idiot. But because the lamp was so fast, we're already done. So yeah, that's nice. There was actually some miscommunication. We had 3 people in the lamp instead of 2. Something was unclear with the backup. What we're going to do now is we kill the elemental here, because that one has a nasty knockdown. It's good to kill that. But then we're just standing next to the boss and wait to be ported to a pyre. And he'll instantly take the portal back. And now just DPS the boss down to 66%. Since it's challenge mode, it's actually not doable for our DPS to skip the break bar, because he goes into break bar very soon. I'm not sure how much DPS you would need to completely skip this, but evidently much more than we are able to. Missing a bit. Okay, so we have a Spellbreaker bubble to remove the stability. It's the only skill that can reliably do it. Can reliably remove all the boons from the boss and prevent new applications of stability. So that's why we run a Spellbreaker. It's also a lot of damage here, obviously. And then we're ready for the troll. And now things go really wrong. Because we instantly open the lamp again. And that's going to be bad. And yeah, I think it was a frost trap from a soul beast. And one player has actually got stuck in the lamp. And while the rest of us has to improvise now. I'm trying to hold the aggro of the Apocalypse Bringer. And what we're doing here now is basically waiting for the boss to swap the platform. And once the boss swaps platforms, a new lamp will spawn. And then we are sending more people down into the lamp to who will actually be able to do the lamp very quickly. Now, I think 4 people went into the lamp. And what happened up here in the meantime is we failed the CC bar, so we had ads spawn on the kiter. And we actually sent our healer over there to support our kiter and make sure that he wouldn't die against the ads, because he's not equipped to deal with them solo. While I'm tanking here and making sure that nothing goes wrong on our side and we won't fail CC again. Alright, and that's phase 2. Now what happened is that the portal by our Mesmer ran out because we phased too slow. So I'm now walking up to the pyre and I'm going to place the portal. This is a time loss. I was not prepared to do it. But yeah, it's a backup. And it's the last part we needed to completely salvage. And now we're at the boss, hitting it, protection is stripped, and we're pumping. Like, this is the point where we can relax again, and we know we have salvaged completely what went wrong earlier. So yeah, once the bubble needs to be put, the Spellbreaker immediately puts it. It's good to place the bubble slightly before the breakbar appears, because it takes a little while to take effect. And then you can instantly CC once the boss gets the breakbar. And if my portal wasn't on cooldown, I would place the next portal. I'm placing a portal from the lamp to the Wyvern I'm tanking now. But since my portal is on cooldown, what we're going to do is actually we are placing a portal from the lamp to the other Wyvern. It's not our plan. We wanted to place the portal on this one. But yeah, we'll just adapt. I'll try not to die here. Again, I don't run any toughness gear. The key is really to just avoid all the damage. You can block, you can evade. You could actually sidestep some of that stuff as well. And for the orbs, I have Aegis from the Well of Precognition. And I just do full DPS as much as possible. Alright, and now that the Patriarch is at 50%, we can actually swap platform. And everyone is coming over here to help me kill the Matriarch. There's nothing else to say at this point. Other than you have to make sure that you don't get swiped by stuff here, because the random tanking from Samarog is quite inconvenient at that point, because you really just swap side all the time. Other than that, there's not much going on here. One thing that's key for groups is to understand that Qadim is a power boss, because Qadim has lower armor than the Golem, and power classes have a huge advantage. If you play Condi here, you need to kill an extra pyre for the resolution. We didn't kill that here, because we're all power players. And you deal with lower armor, so Condi is like... Condi is at a disadvantage twice. And yeah. So yeah, if you want to improve this boss with your squad, make sure as first business order, everyone plays power classes instead of Condis. That's the key thing. Normally we would have a portal to the end so we place one portal from here to the next spot of the tank of the boss. That failed this time. We accidentally opened it too soon. So we have to walk over here. But yeah, it's a small loss, and we'll do it better next time. Alright, and that was already Wing 6. We're actually 1 hour into our full clear, and we've cleared Wing 4, 5, and 6, and done Gate. This is decent for us. We are certainly not the fastest, like there are guilds that can do one more wing in that time. But well, we've done, I think, as well as our level of play allows us to do here. You've seen some of the time losses we had, but yeah. So now we are returning to Wing 7. We want to finish off all the challenge modes, and then we can get into the next part where we deal with the easier wings. Because our goal, as I said at the start, is we start with Wing 4, where you have stuff where you need to focus on Deimos to not actually trigger blacks and etc. So we want to get that out of the way, and then we can relax in the second half of the clear. Now for the pre-events in this swing, what we do is we split up between Adina and Sabir. So one group goes clear Adina and one group goes clear Sabir. And the idea is usually to mount up immediately after this part. Mount up to your sky scale so you can fly to the platform. In this instance, this fails actually. And we have to still clear the pre-event. Like, this is a suboptimal transition to the boss. Easily a minute. But well, it happens sometimes. Yeah, when you do this, you need to clear this last ad on this last platform, because this ad would disturb us in our strategies. We need to kill this and then get out of combat up here and just get ready to fight. If you ever want to get out of combat, you need to run to the edge of the platform, not this edge, but the other one in the corner. So you're far enough away from everything that keeps you in combat. Yeah, but here we have a player who can't get up and now tries to clear the prevent. So we go help him and hopefully clear it together. Yeah, comp-wise, you're going to see Mesmers with portals and also with crowd control. You try to find a comp that works for both bosses. It's not that easy because this boss has long phases with lots of CC and the other boss has short phases with no CC whatsoever. I think Conjured Amalgamate is a reasonable compromise. You're going to see one of its strengths on Adina afterwards as well. And what's very important for success on Sabir is having portal. So we have Mesmers. It's basically set in stone. There need to be Mesmers. It's just unclear whether it needs to be Boon Mesmer or DPS Mesmer. We decided to go with DPS Mesmers, which has more to do with what roles our players like to play. If our DPS Mesmers were Boon Mesmers, we would need other players play Pylon, for example. So yeah. You saw me fail my staff 5 here. Nothing spectacular. What's important on Sabir is to always bring the maximum amount of CC and use all of it. Use your action key as much as you can. Because the fight is just time gated by how fast you can do CCs. And now you're going to see the first portal. One of our Mesmers went and set this up before. Like during the 90% break bar, you can just jump down to the wisp and prepare the portal. And then open it midway through the jumping puzzle. You can't open it all the way because there's a height restriction on how high up the portal can port you in this fight. And so it's the best you can do, basically, this portal. And during the transition from 80%, like during the jumping puzzle, we set up 2 more portals, which you're going to see very shortly. And yeah, it's doing portals probably is like it's such a huge time save here on this boss that it really sets apart statics from pug runs. Is that in pug runs you never see these portals, and in statics you just have these portals. You could do one more here, but it doesn't save that much amount of time. So we just have 2 portals in this transition. I'm actually going to try to have 3 portals very soon. It's one of the things we want to improve as a static. Like every week we improve stuff, and this is one of the ways we want to improve. Having 1 more portal on Sabir maybe. And skipping the shockwave with an immunity like Glint Heal or AED from the Mechanist or Distortion from the Tuosos is very important. Not only does it let you keep the 25% bonus damage from having the action key, but it also allows you to CC faster. Like, normally you have to wait for everyone to gather the action key again, but if enough people skip it, you can basically instantly get the action key again. So that's very, very important to know that you can skip the shockwave and that it's actually worth doing. And we also use our portals in the last phase, so we don't have to move. We can just take portals to move into the corner. What I like to do, it's completely optional, is whenever the boss gets this break bar, I use my action key to go over, kill one of the ants to relieve some of the pressure from the group, and then I use my action key to get back and CC again. So I don't lose DPS, I just don't participate in the CC, and it makes it a little bit safer. Now, if you have this high DPS like we had this week, it is not necessary to do that. But sometimes we already were under very high pressure on Sabir because one person died, etc. And then I like to do 1 wisp. It's just something that makes the fight a bit safer. It's not necessary, as I said. Yeah, now you see Adina. Adina in challenge mode. The most important thing are the holes that will spawn whenever a pillar is. So the important thing is to be aware to not fall into this hole. Most builds with dashes can actually just dash over them. Yeah. What we do with the pillars is we just stack them. Like we're not planning to go behind pillars. So we can might as well just put them all in one place. It has a small advantage if the DPS is a bit lower. But here it didn't even matter for that. Like the boss will gain damage reduction equal to the number of pillars you have. And if you have only one pillar, it means you have a lot less damage reduction to deal with at a certain point. And this only matters if DPS is low, because it gets the damage reduction very late in the phase only. But yeah. One key thing here is you see us place feedback for reflection, so we don't get knocked. And then we kill both hands at once. And the way we kill both hands at once is that basically our Condivirtuosos are making themselves useful by cleaving the hands on the other side. Like they pierce through their own hand and hit the hand on the other side. So each of the virtuoso does double the damage, and everyone else obviously is power classes, they do burst damage. And what happened here is we had one dead person and still decided to go for the skip, which went horribly wrong. So yeah, we have our ripe here. We tried to do it 9-man to skip with the pillars. In my opinion, it's worth pushing sometimes. And that's how you learn what you can do and what you can't do. If you always go for safe strategies, you will never improve. So yeah. Obviously, the plan for the next pull is going to be we're not going to risk it anymore. Like in a similar situation, we will not push. We will just play it safe and carry out pillars normally. And we'll also try to like not fall into holes to make it easier. Well, alright, so first phase, everyone alive, we easily can push. It's not even close. Especially because the heralds, they have actually a DPS increase if the boss is above 80% health. Like you see in Arc DPS, I'm actually very high positioned right now at the end of phase 1. As a quickness class, it's like a full DPS class at that point. So, yeah. And we split up again. As I've explained before, it's group 2 is on the left and group 3 is on the right. What you see me do is I'm actually standing in the wrong side, because this side is traditionally slower. They have the healer, so they have less DPS players. And for that reason, it's a good idea to do it 6 and 4. It just ends up working out better. That's why I'm helping this side. In the other splits, I'm going actually south with my team, so they have quickness. And now we phase to 50 without needing to go hide. This is a strategy you can't really do in bugs with the DPS skip, in CM at least. In normal mode, I think power creep is strong enough now that you can skip. In challenge mode, you can't skip that yet. It needs a bit of pumping. And the quickness died from group 2. Nowadays, they are going to struggle. And one thing that's very dangerous about this is that we only have one feedback, so we kill the hand that knocks back first. But now we get knocked back by the hand from the other side. And that can be quite dangerous. Yeah, and we have down states, etc. Yeah, this group is in trouble. Now they had another death. What we're going to do now is obviously we're going to carry out the pillars as we need them. Actually merged one too many. We're not carrying it out properly. But we will hide behind pillars as is required. You saw me use Shiro F2 there to strip resolution. And yeah, we have 2 down states. We're going to res them. And now it doesn't matter how we carry these pillars out, because we're going to phase anyway. Alright. So I'm going to assign one of the virtuosos now from our group to help in the other side, so it's balanced again. when you split up, you really need to make sure that the squads are roughly equally fast. If you have 2 deaths on one side, well, you somehow need to make changes. Otherwise, one group will just fail. But if you manage to do the split properly, it's way faster and way less risky than having to cross sides, like do a jumping puzzle and hope that you have stability, etc. Or make a Herald run Ventari as support. Like all that stuff is not necessary if you just kill the throwing hand that does knockback and have the DPS to split. Then we can just use one feedback, and feedback for Conjured Amalgamate is a really small DPS loss only. There's not really good use for Signal of Illusions in this kind of fight. Like, it just doesn't fit rotation wise. So yeah, they're happy to bring feedback. Now, actually, what's more crucial than Adina strategies is the next bit, where Lena, the Key of Adashim, and Qadim the Peerless will have an endless conversation. And what we do is we send one of our players to trigger this conversation, and then once their character would start the dialogue, they kill themselves with /GG. And this makes the entire conversation stop immediately, because the game doesn't know how to assign the dialogue anymore. So what happens next is we can just continue. And this saves like a minute of dialogue. It's just a neat little trick. You can learn when exactly to GG. Nothing bad happens if you GG at the wrong time. It will just not be faster. So yeah, here we place some markers. What you're seeing is certain special markers. You don't see those in pucks normally, but it's the Mickey Mouse fire strategy. Yeah, we have people assigned to each marker. We have scourges on the pylons. And you're actually going to see the one encounter where I'm going to be the tank as the Herald. I'm going to tank towards the north. I'm always making sure that I'm not actually hitting my pylon player with any cannon barrage. I'm always tanking in segments where he knows, like, he knows where I'm tanking. So he knows where to stand to never be hit by the fire. And the other way around as well, I know where he's kiting. So it's just like a matter of practice. What's important about tanking on a boon DPS is to have a plan to avoid the damage. Or to counter heal it somehow. With the Glint heal, I can heal up again if needed. But I also have plans to dodge some of the damage, to block some of the damage, etc. I never want to like drop very low, because I don't have any toughness. This is not an easy fight to tank with 0 toughness. So for that reason, it's quite important to know how to avoid the damage from the auto attacks. CC quickly here. The faster you CC, the faster you can keep DPSing. It's the biggest damage on time loss to just have slow CC phases on this fight. So please make sure that you CC properly. The pylons have a breakbar of 1000. So if you have 3 people, you know each person needs to do a third of that. So bring a 3 second stun at the very least. Our Scourges are doing a bit more. They have Flesh Golem. Yeah. In exchange, I'm using Staff 5 on the boss. And yeah. The one dangerous attack in challenge mode is really this lightning attack. If you get hit by it, you will drop some fire on the floor. So always make sure to block it, dodge it, or bring it outside the group. And the shark attack is just an individual skill issue for the player to jump it or dodge it You see our pylon doing it over there. Composition-wise, you see us play Condi Scourge on the pylons. I believe Condi Scourge does a lot of damage. As a pylon player, it's very good skill, very good build. And what's also important is that they have Boon Strip, because the boss will gain Resolution, and Resolution is bad for Condi classes especially. And with Scourges, we can just strip Resolution whenever it comes up towards the end of the fight. Now we go Starve. That's a standard CM mechanic. You have to collect small golden orbs to release them again. And then we just have Alak Mechanist in the Soul Wing. It's not a particularly strong build anymore, but it does its job very well, providing alacrity, and also it can tether to pylons very well. You see us sometimes, you see the tethers coming from the boss to from the pylon to individual players. This is upkeeping a stacking debuff on the boss that allows us to do a bit more damage. And for that reason, you see those tethers bounce around. And the Mechanist is obviously quite good at it because it isn't that close range. Like, it has Grenade Kit to always range a bit, and then it's going to be fine. I recommend that below 40% you no longer tether, because now you get bad tethers from the boss if you do it. And you see there's a bad tether between me and the boss. This tether means I have actually 25% less outgoing damage. That's why I'm not actually doing that much on a boon DPS. Yeah, it's something to consider here. Providing stability for the group. You can provide 10-man stability with a Chalice Road, because each segment of the road counts as its own entity. So you can have 5 people on each. And this means in a 10-man squad, you just need 1 Herald to provide stability to everyone. And now you see tethers originate from the boss to 3 players. And these 3 players will separate from the squad, so the tethers don't spread around. Actually, we do a very poor job at it. We have 1 player falsely coming over, so he gets a tether completely unnecessarily. And also, we're kind of boxed in. It's not very good tanking from my part, I admit that. Like, we're just eating damage where we shouldn't be eating damage. But yeah, it allows us to spare everyone else from the debuff, at least until I make a dodge in the wrong direction. And actually I go downstairs. And now the bad tethers will spread. It's only 4%, so we don't care anymore. But yeah, so we managed, like for 10%, we managed to keep the bad tethers out of the group by standing at 600 range from each other. And that was suddenly worth a small DPS increase in the last phase. It's one of the things almost no squad does properly. And we're trying to learn it. Like, we've tried it over the past months to learn it, and yeah, we're slowly making progress. All right, let's talk about Escort. Escort, last week we saw, or 2 weeks ago, we watched Snowcrows upload a speedrun for the whole of all 7 wings in normal mode, and they had a very neat escort strategy. So naturally we stole the escort strategy from them, and we're trying to replicate it. So we had a break, and then we talked about the strats, and now we are trying to do it. So as you can see at the start, we're teleporting Glenna around. So now Glenna has made it through the wall. And we, as the tower group, will take this thief portal to the first tower. This is a lot faster than you would do it normally with the cave and everything. It's just a skip. Everyone had to learn their part, and now we put it together for the first time. And this is kind of the weekly progression stuff we're doing as a squad. We watch videos together. We analyze strategies and ask ourselves, is there something we can do? Is that something worth doing time-wise? And is it fun to do this? Now I managed to cancel the knockback by raising. So I'm sorry I slowed down the tower. Yeah. All right. One thing that you don't see right now is that on the ground we are playing without a backwork player. The wargs will just keep coming from the back. And we never worry about them from the back, and from the front we will just use Entangle and Blindness to protect Glenna. And yeah. On the tower, my job as a druid is to heal these two, so they don't have to run tank gear as Tower Chronos. And I'm providing backup with my Glyph of Tides. I have a backup push, basically, in case something goes wrong. And what I also do is I provide Alacrity. So they give quickness, I give Alacrity, so the pushes are faster and have lower cooldowns. And the final thing I'm doing is providing Resistance, because some of these mobs can blind, and my Frost Spirit gives Resistance. So it's very good as a skill. You just use Frost Spirit on every single tower. And now you see it gets a bit spicy down there. The wargs reach Glenna, but the warg is blinded, so he can't actually hit. And Glenna is pulled into the last circle. And we finish the Escort up here. And then take a portal down on top of the boss, so the boss doesn't port around. Now this last portal is a bit tricky. You have to take it immediately because it will despawn once the boss fight starts. So you just take it instantly once the tower is capped, then it works. Now our thief will relog because he can't do damage anyway, and then he's going to relog to a DPS build for Keep Construct while we finish off the rest of the Escort. Now our comp is not optimized for this last fight. This fight takes a bit longer than it would in a real speedrun. We have 2 healers. We have a bunch of useless builds like a super speed scrapper and like lots of blindness and immobilizes on our DPS players. So yeah, it's not the fastest, but it works. And what's important for me is that the strategy we use is interesting. Like I find the way we do Escort with all the wargs and the towers instant capping, I find that interesting. And if it's not optimized in every way, that's okay for now. Maybe we will optimize this final fight at some point as well, but not right now. Keep Construct, you're going to see, while I adjust some subgroups, you're going to see on Keep Construct that we do a mid strategy where we don't CC. So that's going to be fun. I'm going to place some markers on the left side of the room just to make sure that one of the players is going to keep their statue out and the other player lets the statue come in. And this way we kill one of the statues, they can't merge, and the other statue is kept out until it's too late, basically. So when the boss gets a CC bar, we're already phasing to 66%. The reason for us to do that is that the greens mechanic, if you CC and then do greens, this actually takes about 20 seconds or so. Like it's just complete downtime where you can't hit the boss. Then you play an orb minigame. And it's really bad DPS wise, right? So for that reason, we'll just try opting to skip all the stuff with the CC and the break bar. This is kind of a damage check. Like you all need power classes, you all need to do your rotations. You should probably solo heal this if you try to do it. And also it's positionally not that easy to get it right. But yeah. It's something that just comes with practice. Like if you practice this enough, you definitely get to learn this strategy. It's also not the most insane DPS check either. But it's one of the harder ones you see in this evening of raidful clears. Alright, now the boss has a break bar at 69%, but unless someone goes full all in on the CC skills, this is going to be fine. So orb collection is just 30 seconds of downtime. What you can do is you can time how long it's going to take by looking at the duration of the buff you have in your bar. The red colored buff, you see I have assigned it to myself in the buff bar. Once it shows 24 seconds remaining, the boss fight will continue. If you have a white bar, it will be at 26 seconds remaining. And so you can basically be ready to do your opening burst immediately, if you're just prepared for that. I wasn't prepared because I didn't pay attention. Like, this is basically, these are the wings that we are a bit more chill on what we are going to do. So our gameplay is not the cleanest for sure. And I'm not greeting for every single second. Now I have a fixation. I have a fixation that is supposed to stay inside. The other fixation is supposed to go out. And now we have to spread. And the way you spread ideally is you spread at the last second. You can always tank 2 spreads at least. You only do 20% of your health as damage. So it's nothing to worry about if like 2 people overlap. And just maximize your DPS. And we phased again to 33%. So you see on the DPS meter that Soulbeast right now is quite decent at this fight. Some would say that maces are a bit too strong for the amount of defensive capabilities they do. Like, they also give barrier and healing, etc. It's really good. And yeah, I think they won't stay this way very long. But while they last, we're playing it. So yeah, maybe it will be very different in 2 weeks already. But I think I'm going to stay on Soulbeast no matter what happens, because I still want to play Druid on Escort. As long as they leave Soulbeast kind of viable, it's going to be fine. They probably should just nerf the maces. Damage-wise. Like, healing-wise, I don't mind them at all. It's fun for Druid to have a good one-hand main weapon. But yeah, damage-wise, it's a bit crazy. And now, the people who were supposed to move out didn't quite move out, so it was a bit unfortunate. And now this statue is also kept inside. It's going to die too fast. And it will provoke a break bar on the boss. And the break bar on the boss, now the way we deal with it is we just don't use any skills anymore that do break bar damage. So this is also soft CC is very bad. So I'm not going to like go all in on Frost Trap and weakness, etc. I probably could have. But yeah, I don't want to risk anything here, so I just use all the skills that don't do CC. Mace 2, Mace 4, that works. Axe 2 works also, but no Axe 3, no Axe 4, for example. Alright, Twisted Castle is again a speedrunning strategy. You're going to see a lot of fancy portals. It goes very wrong actually for us. 2 of us didn't make our jumps, but we had some amount of redundancy built in. Alright, we had to restart because one player had the wrong build. Happens. Always kill the cleric in the back. This guy is so annoying. Alright, and then we start. We place some portals. You're going to see what these portals are going to accomplish very soon. The way you traverse the Twisted Castle is by pressing 5 buttons and then being at the end. But there's like no limit how you arrive at the end. There's lots of jumps you can do with different classes. So we have quite unusual portals. Okay, this is not unusual for speedruns, it's unusual for pugs. And yeah, we learned the strategy and it works. So even though we're not perfect at it, obviously, we're just doing interesting strategies at our own gameplay level, which is kind of part of the fun. Now we saw the commander drop. The commander was supposed to make that jump. But yeah, I'm going on the way of my assigned button. And one of the chronos was doing their button. And we have 2 here. We had 2 at the start. And 1 more, I think, has been done as well. And now I'm just killing mobs too until our scrapper makes it to the end. As I said, we have some redundancy. We have usually 3 people attempt a difficult jump. sometimes even 4 people. And one of them made it, so they can run to the end. If it fails, and we try again. And it's the price you pay for doing interesting strategies instead of doing the boring safe stuff. Yeah, so I definitely recommend taking a look at this. It's a lot of fun to make these jumps, especially with Mirage. I think it's very rewarding if you can pull it off. And then for Xera, Xera is just a golem. If you have high enough DPS, there's really nothing that happens. You need to play the minigames at a reasonable pace. Other than that, there's really nothing to say here. For the pre-event, what I like to do is I like to call out which buttons I'm going. This is very common in pack groups as well. They call out like I'm going far, I'm going close, I'm going right side. Although what's annoying about pickup groups and unorganized groups is they spend so much time discussing who goes which button at the start. They would have been faster to just wing it and go with whatever. Like you can just take longer here rather than discussing it for a minute earlier. But yeah, we are obviously on voice chat as a static, so we can just discuss it on the fly, who goes where. And you saw me, I can do a button on Soul Beast. I have access, I can throw them at range. And yeah, it's nothing to worry about. Just do a button as your DPS. If you're a DPS, yeah. So the reason I'm saying Xera is a golem is that we're not actually moving her at all. Like there are still groups that insist on moving her somehow. But if you just do DPS, well, nothing bad happens. As Soul Beast, I'm not that useful doing CC, unfortunately. I use my F2 rather late, but other than that, it doesn't line up with the rotation, basically. Or at least I haven't found a way to do the rotation the way that it lines up. And yeah, Soul Beast is overpowered. Just look at Arc DPS. 40k at the end of the first phase is just completely insane. I think us Soul Beasts are just having fun at the moment. Like on this class, in this wing, it's just so cool to play it. I enjoy playing with maces as Soul Beast. But yeah, I don't think this level of damage is appropriate at all. Yeah, that's just how it is. For the gliding part here, make sure that you swap to a ranged weapon so you can easily contribute to killing the bloodstones. If everyone throws a skill, the stone dies. If people kill safe for some reason, which they really shouldn't do, well, it takes longer. Also, we make sure like to have all the boons during this part. We still give alacrity, we still give quickness. As well as you can, at least. So the Chronos are throwing the phantasms and shattering stuff. Yeah. Make sure that you don't fall off here. And then in the second phase, we're actually going to go for a DPS check. I would say this DPS check is easier than what we did on Keep Construct. I wouldn't do it in training groups, but if a pack group has 30 kill proof or 50 kill proof for Xera, like it's pretty standard on EU that experienced packs ask for that, I think you can do this kind of DPS check. You need to bring the boss to 40% fast enough, otherwise she spawns in an unfortunate wall here. But if you have our DPS, well, we just stand here. And basically we don't move until the very end. If you have lower DPS, you can move back to the middle at the end. That's fine. But the idea behind this is just basically don't start at the center. Starting here saves you movement. Like always having to move back and forth is not that optimal. So just starting here is just faster. Actually, I didn't get any mechanics in this fight, so I'm quite happy in terms of what Arc DPS shows here. Obviously, the players who got ported are unfortunate that they can't DPS race me now. I In exchange, I have slow on myself, so my actions are slower. I should have brought Healing Spring as Sobeast. Alright. By the way, comp-wise, this was Alak, Chrono, and Herald in one group. And it was Quickness, Chrono, and Druid in the other group. Yeah. Alright. We're on to Wing 2. Now, Wing 2, I'm going to play Quickness, Chrono. And the reason for that is we need a few portals. And obviously, we could run DPS Chronos. But what we wanted to do here is we wanted to place the portal rolls as much as we can on supports, or as much as is reasonable on supports. So I want to be one of the portals at least, and the Alak Spectre is one of the portals, like a thief portal. So in that sense, like if a DPS player is missing 1 week, we can just find a DPS replacement, and we don't have to teach special portals to backups, for example. Yeah. And we just play the boon supports ourselves. So subgroup wise, you see a Quick Chrono and a Druid as in group 2, and you see a Quickness Herald and a Spectre in group 3. And what's special here at the start is we do mass invisibility to have stealth. And then one of our mesmers jumps ahead, places a portal, and will run and open a portal. And they will also go and eat mushroom number 1. And while we wait at the start and make sure to not kill him, I'm normally just not casting anything for a little while at the start, to make sure that I'm not accidentally cleaving. Like Dagger 3 is a really good cleave skill. It has a really far range, much further than you think it has. And it just absolutely destroys this leveling, the friendliest leveling. You see me still having mass invisibility, that's a mistake. I should have brought the Moa elite skill. I also should have brought the focus pull. Like I forgot everything in the setup of the swing. Unfortunate. And yeah, now I'm getting set up to eat my mushroom again. I help with the CC and then I go eat. That's why I brought Blink, so I can just blink through the green here and not be affected by it. I'm going to eat this field and the poison over here, so we have some space. This eating pattern is basically made in a way that allows us to eat as little as possible, move as little as possible, because not only is eating a DPS loss, because one person is not here, but it's also like a waste of time to pull the boss around, because while he's moving, he takes less torment damage. It's harder to hit for our melee classes at least. So yeah, we just don't move the boss as much as we can. We only need 2 mushrooms. We don't eat the third one. Yes, at the end, poisons will respawn under our feet, but we just kill the boss instead, so we're going to be completely fine. And then we kill and slash GG here. This GG saves quite a bit of time actually, because it respawns you up here. And now comes the Bandit Trio. And what's interesting for the Bandit Trio is the way you actually set it up. So what I'm doing here is, because it's completely time gated, like Narella will spawn at 250 on the enrage timer. So what I'm going to do here is I just jump into the camp as fast as I can, so it starts earlier. And like this is already 5 seconds saved compared to gliding in. And imagine speeding up a boss by 5 seconds just on your own. And if you do that on many bosses, you save minutes. And that's just like, it's completely free to do this. Like there's no cost at all to it. Like there are groups that will glide to the trio, and then they all gather around on the platform at the top. They full cleared outside of the camp everything. Then they do a ready check. And that's just like, you can waste 3 minutes, 5 minutes here, and it's just 5 minutes to your clear time for no reason whatsoever. So it's just so much value to not do that. And to actually start this encounter as fast as you can. What's actually going on here is, while we are clearing up the camp, our commander on his Reaper, together with one Mesmer, was doing a jumping puzzle on the outside of this arena. And right now, if you watch the minimap, you see a dot in the far north, and he's actually up on a cliff. And up there, he is going to wait for us to complete the encounter down here, and then place a portal to get us up there the cliff. There's again like 20 seconds at least, 20 seconds of gliding and updraft taking that's completely skipped, just with a single portal. And the difficult thing about Bandit Trio is really understanding how many people can you subtract from this encounter to still make it work. Like, we're 9-manning it right now, which is obviously easy. But you could do more portals. You could do in 6-man, 5-man. And at some point, it gets really difficult to do. And so yeah, we are going for a rather safe approach, but it's not completely free. You're going to see what I mean by that very, very soon. So on these bosses, the guy who is up there on the cliff can actually come join us. He places the portal on the cliff, glides down to us, helps us with Berg, and then he will leave again. Now he runs back up and takes his portal again and ports back up. You see it on the minimap. You see the portal that he took there. And while we're down here, we're just clearing stuff. But yeah. One advice I can give you is that you should always play this encounter actively with the whole squad. Like, don't split up and don't try to solo stuff. Just try to stay stacked as a group, give boons, and use full rotations on everything you see. And then it's a lot easier than if people are half AFK. But obviously, you don't need to completely try hard, but you will notice it if 5 people are slacking, for example. But yeah. So I go help over there. Then you can maybe clear the camp here. At 5:20, the first Martyrs will spawn. We send our Boon Herald to clear the Martyrs. They have lots of CC tools. It's not the ideal pick for it. If a DPS player did it, it would probably work out better sometimes, Boon-wise. But then again, most of this fight doesn't really matter. Like, the way we did Berg didn't matter. The way we do the next boss doesn't matter. What matters is that you can kill Narella very fast and consistently. And yeah. So yeah, this part is like, it's optional to do this well. So yeah. And you see that we didn't release all the wargs in the camp. We're leaving some wargs for afterwards, because wargs not only kill Zane very fast, they are also quite decent at baiting aggro from bandits and fighting the bandits for us. So yeah. Now we take a thief portal and we set up the next event. Now we are still 7 people in the camp. You could reduce this to 6, but then it gets dicey, basically. Because if you have too few people in the camp, the game will decide that it's time to respawn all the bandits in the camp. If you have if everyone else leaves the camp now, or only have 4 people or 3 people inside of it, just respawn everything. So what we decide is we send 3 people out here to set up the next pre-event. And now you see me wait 30 seconds. What I'm going to do is I'm going to place a portal here. So we save, and then we save this distance of walking. This again, it takes a full squad to walk this distance. It takes about 20 seconds or so. And together with the other portal, that's another 20 seconds. That's 40 seconds that are saved here. Just with 2 Mesmer portals. And this is really easy and safe to do. It doesn't require much. So when the Enraged Timer hits 313, I placed my portal. This is roughly the right moment to do it. Then I can run up here and I'm still in time to fight Narella. Because I'm the quickness support, it's quite important that I arrive in time. 250. Narella is spawning, I'm here. Throwing oil at her. And giving quickness. What actually went wrong here is that we didn't apply burning to the boss. Nobody did, so the oil didn't actually trigger until now. Make sure that you apply some burning in your comp. We didn't have that much. And yeah, then this doesn't happen. Okay, so. Taking my portal. Now taking the thief portal. And we're splitting up. And killing all the bandits, while the main stack is killing all the bandits. On the other side, they have another portal that you can't see right now. And this is a fairly fast prevent this way. Again, you can take 3 or 4 minutes here, or you can do it in 1 minute. And that's just differences between fast squads and slow squads, basically. Alright, I place the last portal here. And we're already going in. Now I need to figure out where to put my feedback actually. If I do it right now, yes. Okay, I got it. This was a time loss because everyone is waiting for me to figure out my build. Alright, I'm quickness chrono here. I'm doing a full opener into the bubble. It's not good DPS wise to do that. But it's good boon-wise. The problem is, if you don't do a full opener, one player has the misfortune of getting a mechanic, so he will not get to enjoy boons at all if you don't do full opener. So I just ignore the bubble and keep doing the rotation. Alright, we have a Scourge who will help our corrupted players to get to the wells and back. It's not always working out perfectly, but if it works, it's a nice little time save. Other than that, this boss, it's easiest to do this boss if everyone is standing still, because this means the boss, who will always aggro on the furthest player, will not be able to move that much. And yeah, I use Moa here to CC. And as long as you're standing still, yeah, he doesn't move. But obviously there are some mechanics that force movement, so that's when the boss will move. You will see in speedruns that everyone is standing perfectly still on top of the boss. We're not at that level of coordination, and it's not really realistic for us right now. But we try as much as possible. Composition-wise, we have a Condi Druid now. Other than that, nothing changed about the support makeup. Everyone is just playing their favorite DPS build, basically. Condi Virtuosos are obviously quite decent at this fight. And so is the Berserker, doing a lot of damage. Condi Scourge is very strong. Yeah. And you see, but you also see like Quickness Chrono, even though it's a power class. This is one myth about this fight, like people call this a Condi fight. And they just try to force condition builds for no reason. But you see me, I do 19k DPS right now. Okay, I just died, but I did 19k DPS as a boon support and power boon support, right? It's a very good class for sure. And you just because you support doesn't mean you can't do anything. All right, time to get into the final wing. We are very fast at this point. We know this is one of our better clears already, so we are quite happy with it going into Wing 1. And I hope that, obviously, that I didn't just jinx it now with this mentality of looking forward to the end of the clear. Vale Guardian can go wrong in many ways. There are quite unfortunate randomness elements during the break bar, he will do massive AoEs around him. And if you just randomly get hit by them and the green crashes at the same time, you can get a lot of downstates and it can spiral out of control. That's just what can happen sometimes. Yeah. Composition-wise, you see me right now on Condi Herald. I'm not going to stay Condi Herald for the boss. I'm swapping back to power. Our Condi builds are one Condi Virtuoso, a Condi Quickness Harbinger, and a Condi Daredevil. It's just personal preferences and to have enough condition builds. And what we do is a 3-way split. We try to send 3 people to green, 4 people to blue, and 3 people to red. So all the Guardians hopefully will die roughly at the same time. Again, a time save over pulling the Guardians together. Where you kill them one by one, not as fast. If you properly split, you can save quite some time as a 10-man squad. But yeah, here I make a mistake. Now after this part, I want to template swap to Shiro. But obviously now I swapped Legend, and I'm banned from swapping the build template as long as my Legend is on cooldown. So you wait 10 seconds for me. That's what happens sometimes. Alright, let's get started. We do mid-strat here, so we tank in the middle. And the druid needs to entangle these seekers. Entangle has a really big range, 600, much larger than you think it is. And we out-heal the green. The idea behind mid-stat is that the boss will teleport. Boss will teleport once he reaches 66%. And then he's going to walk into the middle and then despawn. And if you tank in the middle, he will not walk. So he will despawn faster. And that's how you just save 5 seconds for free. Basically just by tanking in the middle. The only thing that gets harder is the seeker management. We have faith in our druids to handle those seekers properly with entangle. So yeah, this is a strategy you can also do in pugs. What you should do when you do it in pugs, the tank should be experienced and you should bring an extra push because you might not phase it with just one seeker coming in. So you might get a second set of seekers. Yeah, so this needs extra care. Maybe Glyph of Tides on the druid. Other than that, now you saw the random burst with the green getting in. Yeah, mid strat. It's not a clean Vale Guardian. It's a scrappy one. But in the end, we can stabilize after this green and res everyone. And we phased. Alright, and you saw he immediately despawned on the phase and we were able to go into the next phase much faster. 3-way split, I'm helping on the green side. With my vulnerability and quickness, I'm very useful here. The chrono in my subgroup is an alacrity chrono. And in the other subgroup, the quickness harbinger and the heal druid will do the boons. So again, you see the idea that the herald provides all the defensive boons for the off squad, that off group that doesn't have a healer. Yeah. And the main group has the healer doing the defensive boons. So the main group is free to use whichever quickness they want. Alright, next part is a bit more interesting. This is an event that a lot of people find very boring. But there's actually a few tricks you can do to speed up this event. And you're going to see them. What's important from my part as a quickness herald here, I bring stability with Jealous. Because these knockdowns are very annoying. And what you're going to see now is a Chrono and a Virtuoso. They are providing portals to make sure that we cap these circles as fast as we can. This is not a time gain per se. It is a time gain if the next circle spawns in the same area as the previous one. And then you want to cap it as fast as you can. Because otherwise the game will wait until it spawns the circle. So yeah. So try to make sure that you cap these as fast as possible, just to gain a few seconds. And other than that, I like portals, so I don't have to walk. And what else is there to say? The adrenal mushrooms that are laid in this area allow the Chronal and the Virtuoso to always reset their portal, mimic, and blink. And if they alternate, they can give portals to literally every single capture circle. There are ways to do this completely alone with just one Chrono, or one Mirage also works. Virtuoso can't really solo it. But then you use like Mimic, use Blink, use Continuum Split, and etc. to have enough portal access in the end. Now, what you see there in the far back, maybe you saw it, is a thief doing his thing. And he climbed up a wall. And this is going to be important very soon. But for the meantime, we'll just continue doing the stuff here. What's important to understand is that this event actually, this event needs to be completed. Otherwise, we can't continue. But the next event, that is clearing the champions in the next room, is just there to get rid of the gates that are in the way. And if you just take a portal over here, we are actually now in a spirit run. And we are a bit above the spirit run. And we are skipping ahead. So what we are going to do as a group of 4 players, 2 and 2, we will position ourselves at the walls that we have to clear. So the walls have not spawned yet, or are not attackable yet, rather. But once the group is done and triggers the spirit run, the same way we got there, we can start attacking these walls. So we can pre-clear the spirit run already, and this makes it a lot faster. And you can see in the top right corner, the event is done. They had to 5-man it at the end, and now they take a portal, the same portal we took basically before. And then now they glide into the spirit run and put us into combat. And what they have to do is they have to glide and have to kill the first wall. And then they have to take another portal and kill the second wall. They actually failed that portal in this attempt, so they have to capture a circle. And we kill our wall in the meantime, and the guys at the end already killed theirs. And we're done, so we can slash GG. And they have to just kill this wall, and they're going to be done as well. And with everything said and done, we can all GG. And now we're here. So this is quite a fast way to do this. You're saving minutes of time if you do this properly. It's just another strategy we've learned how to do it. And we've incorporated it into our clears. We have assigned buttons, so people do their buttons every single week. Is a lot faster than having to figure out who goes where. On Gorseval, we do a 4-way split in the split phase. So everyone has their marker to go. We distribute 3, 3, 2, and 2 players. I'm going to go to the heart marker. And as a herald, I'm in charge of providing stability. Now, when in doubt, I will only do stability for my subgroup, because the druid is usually providing stability for their subgroup as well. But yeah. Other than that, this is a DPS golem. Doesn't really take any skill to do this boss. Like, it's quite impossible to wipe in a group that has halfway decent damage, because the boss has no mechanics. So what we are doing here is really just to optimize DPS. So this means I'm going to provide a road for stability. And I'm providing quickness to everyone. And what's important here is that our quickness is lasting long enough. As herald, I'm providing quite a lot of quickness to my group. So even in the split phase, all these people in the other on the other markers, they have quickness. So that's quite important to us. And I make sure to end the split phase on Chalice so I can give stability for the first slam again. And then we're back to DPSing. This is just really nothing going on. Here I intentionally use a rotation that provides the maximum amount of quickness. So I let my elite run for longer than would be necessary. And also now I just let the quickness run. Because I want everyone to be at 30 seconds of quickness once you split up. This is like the biggest time save you can do as a quickness source. If you split up, make sure that everyone has the boon for the entirety of the split phase, even though you're not there. And yeah. Then we kill. Now what's interesting here on the split phase, at the circle side we opened the wall actually. So after the eggs are gone, our commander will move out of the squad. He'll place a portal on the boss and now move towards the opened wall and start gliding. He is going to take an updraft. Everyone else is not doing anything like that, but he took an updraft. And now he got locked out of the arena. And he's just staying in the air there. And while you kill the boss, he glides to the next part, opens a portal, and now we're here. So again, this saves 10 seconds of gliding at least, and it's just free to do if you know how to. And yeah, then we have some portals here. We have one of our Chronos skip ahead. And once we have cleared everything here, he will open up the portal for us. And we take it, and we clear stuff up here. What goes slightly wrong here is that the Chrono doesn't get a bomb. Now the green bomb, he has to wait quite a long time actually for it. So we have some waiting time here. So the transition here is not the cleanest. So you see the confused kitten over there, getting a bomb very late. And now opening portal first. And here we make sure to clear exactly the right amount of bandits. You see in the top right corner the white thing filling up. And once we're done with it, you guessed it, we take another portal. This portal is really risky because Sabetha spawns instantly, so everyone needs to take it, or this goes very wrong. And this is so risky and so fast, I actually didn't find time to swap to Shiro. So I'm playing Sabetha with Chalice Legend. It's not ideal for a hell, to say the least. But, well, it happens. And, like, I'm not even trying to swap to Shiro at that point, because, well, there's just not the time for it. Everyone else got to play correct builds, though, so that's good. On Sabetha, what you're seeing is that we're actually not doing this cannon, because the cannon doesn't have the time to damage the platform enough to matter. So what we're doing instead is we just make sure that we're not standing in that cannon fire non-stop. Instead, we're just standing on other sides of the boss and ignoring that cannon for the entirety of the time. We do the same thing for the next cannon, actually. We completely ignore it as well. So normally you would go west now with this bomb. And doing so like saves us so much time again, because we have one more player doing DPS, right? Cannons would have to be cleared and then they respawn 2 minutes later anyway, so why would you do them, right? And just keep pumping. And now Knuckles. Now North Cannon spawns, and this is the first cannon we actually do. Our Alacrity Chrono decides to place a portal, goes up there, clears the cannon, takes the portal back, and is instantly here again. The reason he has that portal in the first place is just, like, he was the person who placed the portal into the fight, and then he just doesn't have to swap any templates or anything like that. By keeping it and then doing a cannon with it. This is like multi-purpose. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do the East Cannon, just so we have a little more safety. Because at the end it will get tight if you don't do this cannon. In a speedrun I wouldn't do it, but here I think it's good to do it in a weekly clear. Because otherwise you need to really up your sidestepping game and everything needs to go well and you need enough DPS. So yeah. Alright, boss is at 25%. We're not doing any more cannons. What's important to see is that we use boon supports to do cannons. We're not using DPS players. DPS players are just allowed to do DPS as much as they can. And the boon supports are doing boons. Alright, and that is Sabetha. And this concludes the commentary of this Raidful clear. I hope you found this insightful, learned something, got some ideas for strategies to play. And I see you next time. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good day.